Adobe hate needs to be studied. There is no editing software that gets more consistent, more passionate, and more committed hate than Adobe. And I've been thinking about this for a while. Not because I want to defend Adobe, I'm not a spokesperson, and I'm not on the payroll, you can believe me. And they have done things that genuinely deserve criticism. But the way the editing community hates Adobe is actually really interesting. Because it's not just this product is bad, it's almost personal. Like, people are mad at Adobe the way you're mad at someone who let you down. So today, I want to actually study this because the Adobe situation tells us something about how editors think about tools, money, loyalty, and what they actually expect from the companies that make their software. Also, quick announcement, I've just dropped a new Discord. We're going to be doing a lot of events, editing events, challenges, streams, rating your edits, and so much more stuff. So if you want to be a part of all these events, make sure to join the Discord, link in the description, pinned comment, or in my bio. You guys have been asking for this for so long now, so I finally dropped it. So make sure to join and show some love. Appreciate you. So to even understand why Adobe is hated to this degree, we need to understand what Adobe did to earn the hate. Firstly, the price increases. It wasn't dramatic each time, but it was consistent. By slowly increasing the price each time, Adobe thought that they were maximizing profits, because to users, it seemed as if the price was only going up by 99 cents, but to Adobe, 99 cents across millions of users, it's big bucks. We also have the feature extraction, things that felt included slowly becoming separate line items. Firefly credits, cloud storage dependency, stock integrations, all these things that look included but aren't. It's just like the Nintendo or Xbox problem, I forgot which one it was, where people would buy games but it wouldn't actually belong to them. You're meant to buy something and it belongs to you, but with these subscription models and other buyer practices, it causes the people that buy these services to feel like they're paying for something that does not actually belong to them. It's as if they were renting separate line items. Moving on, we also have the lock-in architecture, such as Premiere project files, After Effects compositions. A decade of your own work becomes a switching cost. If you wanted to switch to a completely different software, you'd have to switch and buy an entirely new software simply because you wanted to change the tool that you were using. And as we already know, Adobe made it extremely difficult to cancel their subscriptions. You either had to fully wait for your entire subscription to run out, or if you wanted to cancel early, you'd have to pay the exorbitant amount all at once. And it'd also charge you an extra fee on top. Just an extra cherry on top, and nothing too much, you know, or so that's what they thought. Then we have the AI push. Every update now has an AI angle. Some of it is genuinely useful, but a lot of it feels like justification for price increases. You can't cover the price increase simply because you added some AI features. A lot of tech companies are doing this, like Nvidia and Apple, but when these AI features aren't even being used in the day-to-day, half of these people are going to be paying for a service that's not even going to be used. It's like, why am I paying a premium fee if I'm not even using the service that is being advertised? Because I can guarantee you that half of these people, or half of the users that are using these softwares, don't even know how to access these AI features, how to use them, and it's just a rhetoric to be able to increase pricing on users and justify it. But I will be fair, because the software is still excellent. After Effects specifically has no real competitor for certain things, but acknowledging that isn't a defense. It's just accurate, and I have to state the facts to be completely impartial. And with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe to help the channel out. You watching the entire video and leaving these comments about your experiences and opinions really make my day. And for those of you who want to quote-unquote know how to not get AE, then go to my Instagram page, link in the description, and make sure to follow me and like the post on the page so I can see your message. If you're watching these videos, it means you actively want to improve our video creation as a whole, whether it's edits, content creation, or anything that requires editing, which shows your determination to win in life. So thank you for being here. I appreciate every single one of you for rocking out with me, and let's get back into it. Now that we know what Adobe actually did to earn their hate, why is the hate so personal? To me, it seems like the reason Adobe hate feels personal is because Adobe built their user base through dependency. You didn't just buy software, you bought skills, workflows, muscle memory, and professional identity inside their ecosystem. And so once you got used to it, this is where they increased the price. And when the price goes up or features get extracted, as we know for the Capcut features, it's not just this costs more now, it's the thing I built my skills around is betraying me. And this is the exact same psychological pattern as the Capcut situation, but at a much larger scale and over a much longer time. The editing community learned this lesson from Capcut and immediately applied it to Adobe. But the problem is that switching costs for Adobe is 10 times higher because the tools are 10 times more embedded. And this is also why Adobe hate is louder from people who have used it for years than understand from beginners, because beginners don't feel betrayed yet because they haven't used it for long enough. But the people who are furious are the ones who gave Adobe the most, that spend the most time on Adobe, and that put the most effort into their entire ecosystem, which has been taken away. And this leads me to my next point, which is the fact that Adobe has a lot of pirates. Now, YouTube, I do not condone any form of pirating on this channel. I am simply discussing the facts to understand the reasonings as to why people are pirating Adobe. So please do not demonetize this video. Many people have been pirating Adobe, and as much as Adobe has tried to fight against the pirating, they always find a way. And some big communities have surfaced around Adobe simply because they do not like the business practices of said company. Some people would even go to argue that cracking Adobe is morally correct simply because of the bad practices of Adobe. But this mindset isn't something that you'll find in multiple different other softwares. Of course, you'll find very small niche communities that strive to pirate different editing softwares, but for Adobe, it seems like it's wildly accepted, and it seems to be that it's a pattern that keeps repeating. This is definitely not an Adobe specific story. This is how every software company that achieves critical mass eventually behaves. Capcut did it, Adobe is doing it, and every tool that becomes a default eventually tests how much its users will tolerate. We can use Roblox, for example, that is a big company that has been making some terrible decisions recently. It seems to be mostly because of investors. The company tries to make investors happy by adding all these features that the actual player base or users don't care about. And that's exactly what we keep seeing here. When you're a billion-dollar company and you need to prove to your investors that the company is growing, you have to find small little tactics that increase your returns in a drastic way. And this is where we keep seeing the pattern of Adobe raising prices by small amounts slowly over time, which add to millions of dollars over millions of users. And this is the pattern. We usually find free or a cheap entry, then they build a dependency, and then they monetize the dependency. It's a simple pattern that you can only spot once you zoom out. But once you're in this bubble, it's very difficult to escape the web because you're already so enticed into the entire ecosystem. And that's why an Apple user would have a hard time changing to Samsung or any other mobile device, just to give you a small example. And so the editing community keeps being surprised by this pattern, even though it's happened multiple times now. And at this point, you have to ask whether the community is going to learn from this or whether they're going to be surprised again in 5 years when the next thing does it. But now that we've discussed all this, what is the hate actually about? The Adobe hate isn't really about Adobe itself. It's about the feeling of being trapped by your own investment. Once a software that you invested in because you felt that it was the best option amongst many other competitors is now something that is costing you more than it is offering you. People hate feeling that the skills they built, the workflow that they've developed, and the time that they've spent are now being held over their head as leverage. The software company feels very arrogant and egotistical that they increase the price on all their current users, and they keep repeating the pattern until they run their entire user base dry. And the editors who handle this the best are the ones who separate their skills from the tools they've learned them in. Your After Effects knowledge transfers, your creative judgment transfers, your pricing sense transfers, but the subscription doesn't. And so Adobe can raise the price, but they can't raise your skills, and that's the only leverage that's actually yours. What do you think about this entire topic? Let me know in the comments down below, because I'd actually love to hear what you have to say about your experience with Adobe. What would actually make you leave Adobe or any tool that you're currently using? Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe, as these videos take a lot of time to make, and we're trying to reach 10k subs by the end of summer. So make sure to subscribe, and I recommend you watch this video about the misconceptions that everyone gets wrong about Capcut. Sprint to success.